Today, we embark on a journey through the uproarious world of 1960s cinema, exploring the top 10 funny movies that left audiences roaring with laughter. The 1960s was a golden era for comedy, filled with timeless classics that continue to tickle our funny bones to this day. From slapstick humor to witty banter, these films have stood the test of time and continue to bring joy to audiences across generations. So sit back, relax, and prepare to embark on a hilarious trip down memory lane. Number 10. The Party, 1968, directed by Blake Edwards and starring Peter Sellers. The Party is a riotous comedy of errors set against the backdrop of a swanky Hollywood soiree. Sellers plays Hrundy V. Bakshi, an inept Indian actor who inadvertently wreaks havoc at a glamorous party filled with eccentric guests. Filled with slapstick humor and witty satire, The Party is a rollicking romp that showcases Sellers' comedic genius at its finest. Number 9. The Nutty Professor, 1963. Jerry Lewis shines in this zany comedy about a nerdy professor who concocts a potion that transforms him into a suave ladies' man. Directed by Lewis himself, The Nutty Professor is a comedic tour de force that showcases Lewis' remarkable talent for physical comedy and character work. From the hilarious antics of the suave buddy love to the endearing clumsiness of the bumbling Professor Kelp, The Nutty Professor is a timeless classic that continues to entertain audiences of all ages.
Oh, what? Oh, Dr. Warfield. Miss Lemon, get Professor Kelp in here immediately.
Number 8. A Shot in the Dark, 1964. Peter Sellers reprises his role as the bumbling Inspector Jacques Clouseau in this uproarious sequel to the Pink Panther. Directed by Blake Edwards, A Shot in the Dark finds Clouseau embroiled in a murder mystery involving a beautiful maid, a jealous chauffeur, and a string of hilariously misguided assumptions. With Sellers' impeccable comic timing and Edwards' deft direction, A Shot in the Dark is a comedic gem that stands on its own merits.
There is something that I am very interested to know. This room looks very... What happened?
Number 7. The Producers, 1967. Mel Brooks' directorial debut, The Producers, is a subversive satire that skewers the world of Broadway theater. Zero Mostel and Gene Wilder star as a down-and-out producer and his neurotic accountant who hatch a scheme to stage the biggest flop in history and abscond with the investors' money. Filled with irreverent humor and show-stopping musical numbers, The Producers is a comedic tour de force that remains as hilarious and relevant as ever.
Don't you ever want to become a butterfly? Don't you want to spread your wings and flap your way to glory?
Number 6. It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, 1963. Directed by Stanley Kramer, It's a Mad, 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 Mad World is an epic comedy featuring an all-star ensemble cast. When a dying man reveals the location of a hidden fortune, a motley crew of characters embark on a madcap race to claim the prize. With its sprawling cast, outrageous stunts, and endless stream of comedic talent, It's a Mad, 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 Mad World is a comedy epic that must be seen to be believed.
Happened because the whole country is just full of people who, when these things happen, they just say these things happen, and that's why they...
Number 5. The Odd Couple, 1968. Based on Neil Simon's hit Broadway play, The Odd Couple brings together Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau in a riotous comedy of mismatched roommates. Lemmon plays the neurotic Felix Unger, whose fastidiousness clashes hilariously with Mathau's slovenly Oscar Madison. Directed by Gene Saks, The Odd Couple is a timeless comedy of manners that continues to delight audiences with its witty dialogue and memorable performances.
Must have been in a coma.
Number 4. The Great Race, 1965. The Great Race is a madcap comedy extravaganza directed by Blake Edwards and starring Tony Curtis, Jack Lemmon, and Natalie Wood. Set in the early 20th century, the film follows the rivalry between daredevil racer the Great Leslie and his villainous counterpart Professor Fate as they compete in a daring around-the-world race. Filled with elaborate stunts, slapstick humor, and larger-than-life characters, The Great Race is a rollicking adventure from start to finish.
I can't stand it. I'm freezing to death. Shut up!
Number 3. Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, 1964. Stanley Kubrick's satirical masterpiece Dr. Strangelove offers a darkly humorous take on the Cold War paranoia of the 1960s. With a stellar cast including Peter Sellers, George C. Scott, and Slim Pickens, the film explores the absurdity of nuclear brinkmanship through a series of increasingly absurd scenarios. Despite its bleak subject matter, Dr. Strangelove is infused with biting wit and sharp political satire that still resonates today.
Have you ever seen a commie drink a glass of water?
Well,
Number 2. The Pink Panther, 1963. The Pink Panther introduced audiences to the bumbling yet endearing Inspector Jacques Clouseau, portrayed by the incomparable Peter Sellers. Directed by Blake Edwards, this slapstick comedy follows Clouseau's hilariously inept attempts to solve a high-profile theft while stumbling from one mishap to the next. Filled with memorable gags and a catchy theme song, The Pink Panther is a true classic of 1960s comedy.
I found these growing in the home.
Well, you get right.
Number 1. Some Like It Hot, 1959. Although technically released at the end of the 1950s, Some Like It Hot transcends decades with its timeless humor and unforgettable performances. Directed by Billy Wilder, this comedy masterpiece follows the escapades of two musicians who disguise themselves as women to escape the mob. With iconic performances by Marilyn Monroe, Tony Curtis, and Jack Lemmon, Some Like It Hot remains a benchmark of comedic brilliance. As we conclude our journey through the top 10 funny movies of the 1960s, it's clear that this era was a golden age of comedy that continues to captivate audiences with its timeless humor and unforgettable performances. From the madcap antics of Some Like It Hot to the slapstick shenanigans of The Pink Panther, these films have left an indelible mark on the history of cinema and continue to bring joy to viewers of all ages. We hope you've enjoyed this laughter-filled trip down memory lane and discovered some new favorites along the way. If you're a fan of classic comedy and want to explore more hidden gems from Hollywood's past, be sure to subscribe to Hollywood Secrets for more exclusive content and share the laughter with your loved ones. Until next time, keep laughing and enjoying the magic of the silver screen.